Hello, guys, and welcome back to Figuring It Out with Grace and Kaylee. Today, we are figuring out, I'm going to butcher saying the word like I always do, Stoicism.
That was
Stoic.
beautiful. That was beautiful. You did it.
I
Stoicism.
don't know what it is with this word that trips me up, but I don't know why we haven't done this before because Grace literally preaches this to me all the time. And now she is here to preach it to all of us.
I'm so excited. I definitely have mentioned it way too many times to not talk about it. So today we are talking about Stoicism. So I am a pretty emotional person, human being, but I'm a Capricorn, so I prefer to hide behind my very thick and tall walls. But in our most recent episode with Melanie, who discussed human design, she told me that I'm also very much an empath, which makes a lot of sense. So Kaylee and I can relate on this a bit. Like I've struggled growing up on controlling my emotions when I've had conflict or even kind of tough conversations. I ride an emotional roller coaster. I wear my emotions on my sleeve, and I definitely am very expressive. So I've learned to use like yoga and breath work and meditation as a way to find my chill and not really unleash. But it really wasn't until I discovered Stoicism that was like an unlock in my brain. This is how I can master my mind and remain in control. And that's something that I have been trying to do since I was a kid. So,
So, what is it?
yeah, so I learned about Stoicism. I learned about it through Ryan Holiday, who was an author who wrote the Daily Stoic, amongst other amazing books. And so I listened to him speak on this podcast about this tool called Stoicism. And simply what it is Stoicism is a study of the written works of ancient Stoics. So it's about philosophy and philosophers such as, I'm about to butcher names, but Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Titus, and Seneca. Okay. So these are three examples of Stoics who wrote journal entries, would write letters all about philosophy. And these written documents that were produced by them have been studied by world leaders. Just people have used this as a tool to understand wisdom essentially and how to really use the principles of what they used in ancient times in our modern world, and they're very, very effective. So a general thought is a stoic knows that they can't control the world around them, and all they control is how they respond to the world. And that sentence alone was like incredibly attractive to me because it's true. I can't control any external factor. I can only control myself. And that's something I always wanted. So Stoicism is based off of four basic virtues. Okay. The first one is courage or being brave. So Seneca, sorry,
No,
were
you're
you,
good.
were you saying okay?
No.
So Seneca the Stoic would say he felt bad or pitied people who never experienced misfortune. So basically, without struggle, no one can really know what you're capable of, and that includes yourself. So being able to show up in your daily life courageous. And Aristotle, another philosopher, believed that recklessness is what's developed when someone has too much courage. So it's kind of finding the balance of showing up to your life with courage, but also not becoming reckless. Like, which is something that I'm guilty of too. You think your shit doesn't stink and you're like, I can do whatever. And that's when you kind of get yourself in trouble. So that leads us into our second virtue, which is temperance or finding your balance. So temperance is defined as quality of moderation or self-restraint. So Epictetus would share that the capability is confirmed and grows in its corresponding actions, walking by walking and running by running. Therefore, if you want to do something, make a habit of it. Essentially, all of us is saying is that if we want to be happy, if we want to be successful, if we want to be great, we don't have to do these huge, crazy things. We all have the capability of accomplishing our goals by creating habits, which is something that we love here at Figuring It Out. So, making sure you're finding your balance in your life and really practicing self-restraint. So, if you take stock in your day-to-day and you write down everything you do and you're like brutally honest with yourself about how you are spending your time, you're going to be able to see what habits are actually aligning with what you want and what are not at all. And if you're practicing stoicism and your temperance, finding balance, you're going to practice self restraint in areas that aren't serving you. So, like, example, for me, on a bad day or week, I'm going to be having trash television on pretty much all day in the background. Like, that's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
If I was auditing my day or trying to find balance, I would allot myself, okay, today you can watch an hour or one show in the afternoon in the background versus like your all day fucking marathon, Vanderpump ruling it because that's all I can do these days.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so yeah, finding balance in your day. So now we're courageous and we've found our balance. And so the third value of Stoicism is doing the right thing, justice. All of the basic or the ancient philosophers loved justice. Okay. So Ryan Holiday, who I learned about Stoicism through, the author, he believes there's no more important virtue of the virtues of Stoicism other than justice because it influences all of our other virtues, or basically all of our life in general, how we operate, how we think. So, if you're going to practice Stoicism, a Stoic has to believe and truly, like in your core, believe that any individual can make a difference. And that can be hard considering the wild, wild west of a world we live in. But a Stoic sees the world clearly, like it is what it is. So, he also then believes that he can make whatever it is that he believes, or she, because we're bitches here, she can turn it into a reality. So basically, you got to kind of have to practice like reckless optimism. Like, I know I can accomplish anything I put my mind into, and my virtue is justice so that the world is right and that like things move in a way that fills my soul up, fills your soul up, and like allows us all to be operating within alignment.
Hmm.
And finally, our last virtue is wisdom, the knowing, learning, and experience required to navigate the world. So it's key that we continue to learn. We are creatures that our brains have to be challenged in order for us to continue to be the incredibly intelligent people that we are. It's very much a use it or lose it. So we got to study and keep an open mind. We can't learn anything that we think we already know all the answers to. So our goal is not to just acquire information, but the right kind of information. I really resonate with this one because a lot of Stoicism talks about how the outside world is always going to be filled with so much noise, like an overwhelming amount of noise. And so being able to be in tune with your wisdom and what your virtues are, and then deciphering within all that noise, like this is what resonates with me, this is what doesn't, and I'm not going to hold on to information that doesn't seem right, doesn't sit with me, it doesn't serve me.
Feel good, like even in your body.
Exactly. Exactly. And so I know people, interpret that in a lot of different ways. For me, I can't listen to gloom and doom. I just can't be all consumed by that because that also goes against my other virtue, which is justice. And I have to believe as individuals, we can accomplish anything we want and we can make the world beautiful and good. And so it's hard for me to just sit and absorb that kind of information.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you have to be a realist. I have to understand the world around me. But as we talked about earlier, a Stoic is someone that knows in their core, I can't control the world, but I can control how I show up and how I act in it. So that's like a basic overview of what Stoicism is. For me, I purchased the book, which I will link in the show notes, The Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday. And I want to read today's entry. So it's kind of like a daily affirmation, devotional, if that's your jam, kind of book. And each
Mhm.
day it goes over like an ancient Stoics writing or principle. And then Ryan Holiday translates that into modern English so that you and I can understand and
Love it.
practice it. And I
Yeah.
thought today's was like so fitting and so awesome. So today we are recording on May 26th, and it says, stop caring what people think.
Love
Mic
it.
drop. So, Marcus Aurelius, one of the Stoics we talked about, he says, I'm constantly amazed by how easily we love ourselves above all others, yet we put more stock in the opinions of others than in our own estimation of self. How much credence we give to the opinions of our peers have of us, and how little to our very own. Then Ryan continues to express and explain what that means. But essentially, don't spend time thinking about what other people think. It's none of your
Yeah.
business. Think about results, think about what you think about your impact, and think about what the right thing to do is.
Yeah. I would agree with that. And I also like, I always think about whenever I'm struggling with what other people are thinking of me when I do something, I'm like, you can either do nothing and they'll talk about you, or you can do what matters and what you feel the world needs and be talked about. So you might as well just do fucking good for the world versus just sitting back and being scared of these fuckers who are going to talk about you anyways. Like, people like to gossip. That's just what they like to do. So I'm all for that. Fuck them.
I love
Fuck them.
that. Fuck him. I love it. And also,
So going over, let's just start with courage. Now that you gave us like a little backstory on each of them.
yes.
Courage, being brave. I love the saying like that you pity people who have never experienced misfortune, because that's so true. People that are young in life, I believe, like maybe they just haven't gone through a lot of heartache yet, have a very, very different look on the world than maybe I do. And it's hard for me to relate to those people. But at the same time, I wouldn't trade my struggles for what they have, because I like the way I see the world now. And like, I like how I can teach my kids and be there whenever times are rough. And like, I know the struggles, so I get that with the courage. Love that. Two snaps, two
I
snaps.
also really appreciate how it points out, if you're not able to overcome a struggle, you can't even prove to yourself that
Hmm.
you are this person that can experience courage and bravery. I
Yeah.
never
So how
thought of
are
that.
other, yeah, how are other people going to listen to you when you have something good to say if you don't even believe the words coming out of your mouth?
Totally. And I think that it's also courage and how you can show up to situations and conversations. I know for me, sometimes being courageous is showing up to a conversation that's like really hard. Sometimes it's sharing my emotions when they're really hard. And sometimes it's having the courage to say nothing at all and just letting it
Yeah.
be okay. So
Yeah.
I've used that principle as a way to like help guide myself as well.
And then the next one would be, let's finding your balance. So let's give an example, like in a bad relationship maybe, and this can be romantic or not. What would you give like advice for being stoic in the finding your balance
Yeah. I think in
category?
a negative relationship with whomever it is, a way to find balance is to take stock of how you show up to that relationship. Because Stoicism, remember, we know we can't control anyone else, we can only control ourselves. So I would say, like, if I had a negative relationship with someone, I'd say, okay, these are all the emotions that this person triggers in me. May it be anger, may it feel like emotional volatility or disappointment. I'm going to practice self restraint in using those emotions when I'm around that person. And that's really hard. Like,
Yeah.
it is really hard to watch someone behave in a way where it's just constantly pulling these negative things out of you, but you are like the puppeteer of your own life and having to take yourself out of it and be like, I'm going to practice balance and self restraint. I'm not going to allow myself to behave with this way with this person and give them what they want.
Yeah, and finding balance in these types of relationships also could mean setting boundaries and having the right response to the relationship. Like if they are doing something that makes you uncomfortable, but you are letting them do that, that's kind of your fault. You've got to set that boundary because if you don't, I'd hate to say it, it sounds weird, but it is your fault because you're not setting that boundary. You're kind of letting them control the situation.
Right.
So that's another good, I feel like,
Yeah.
balance, maybe in a negative relationship, just knowing where the boundaries are, putting them in line, letting them know these are my boundaries. And
Yeah.
like, I'm doing this to protect myself. And that could also go with courage in the conversation part.
Absolutely.
All
And
right.
relationship with
Sorry.
yourself. If you think
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
practice negative habits with yourself or you speak negatively to yourself, it's practicing self-restraint or finding moderation in the habits that you don't like.
Yeah. Agreed. Okay. So the next one, justice. How could we give an example of justice in, should we give another relationship scenario or should we switch it up?
I like relationships, but I also think if I think of a personal example for myself, it would be speaking up when it matters, when it feels like to my
Yeah.
core, I just can't not say anything. But with that being said, as I'm practicing Stoicism, it's all about how I'm saying something to someone. I'm never putting too much emotional weight in what I say because I'm not trying to receive or trigger an emotional response. I'm saying something as it is fact to me. So I think
Yeah.
speaking up when it matters to you and also just really encouraging the people you love who are trying to make a difference. Like anyone that's out there trying to help someone live a better life or be a better person or just give goodness to the world, like support those people and
Yeah.
fucking blow them up with your love because we all
Mhm.
can do this.
Yeah. Or like seeing something that you think is bullshit, like you said, speaking up about it. I feel like that's pretty I don't know, self-explanatory, right? Do the
Yeah.
right thing, be fucking good
And
and give.
also acknowledge, like, I think we all can acknowledge, like, there are fundamentally things that we believe are um, pure and evil.
Mhm.
I think where we as people and collectively as society get fucked up on is our definitions of good and bad are very different.
Yeah.
Something that I think is good might not translate. Something someone thinks is bad might not translate for me.
Mhm.
So just going back to like you can't control how other people behave or act. You can only control yourself. And I'm a very much for me, I don't know if this is how the Stoics meant it, but for me, it reiterates or reinforces it. Live and let live.
Yeah.
Unless someone is doing something that I consider evil, which
Mhm.
I think is something we fundamentally can agree on, even if I think
Yeah.
it's bad, it's not my place. Like live and let live.
Yeah. And, like, I feel like it's fine to share your opinions, but, like, don't be mad when their opinions are different than your opinions. Like, listen to them, hear them out, and move on.
And that will lead us right into wisdom and about how you can have to keep an open mind and you can't think you have all of the answers to something or you're never going to learn. So if
Yeah.
I am not agreeing with someone's opinion on it, it's not for me to be like, well, you are wrong and this is why. It's like, oh, why do you think that? That's really interesting. I would have never thought about it like that. I still don't think that resonates with me, but that's a
Mhm.
unique perspective.
And maybe you don't even know, like, if you open your mind up just a little bit and not worry about the response, instead worry about what they're saying and how it could actually affect you or whatever, speak to you, like, maybe it would change your mind on ways you view things, but I think we're so caught up in how we're gonna defend ourselves, we don't even like, if you're so, like, let's just use the dirty word politics. the opposites of each are so strong that like they don't listen to each other. There's no listening. Here's this bullet point. Here's what I go to. It's like you could have a fucking cheat sheet on it for most people.
Yeah.
It's like if you just open your mind up a little bit and understand how some things affect other people where they're not affecting you at all, maybe you would change your mind or pivot a little bit, or maybe we could all fucking figure something out together. I know that's like asking for world peace, but
Yes.
it's like open your mind up, like let's all learn from each other, because everyone for a reason comes from different backgrounds with different families, different religions, different cultures, different communities. And like how cool would it be if we just shut the fuck up and listen to how we grew up and how we do things? We could learn a lot of shit.
I would love if people would shut the fuck up. I can't seem to learn how to shut the fuck up, so we're not off to a good start. But I couldn't agree with you more, Kaylee. And I think like talking about the dirty word politics, what's really interesting is if we take away the labels to everything and everyone and we talk about an issue, generally, most people have the same agreement on the issue. What
Hmm.
people don't agree with is how to get to the solution.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really never about the meat of it. And so listening to other people's experiences helps us explore different ideas of how we get to the solution. And that's
Yeah.
how we get world peace.
World peace, motherfucker. Yeah, I think so. Basically, I see
You got it. You did it.
stoicism.
Yes.
Why can't I pronounce
You
this?
are doing it
Embarrassing
right.
at this
You're
point.
doing it right.
Anyways, the way I see it is we can't control the world, we can't control others, we can only control ourselves and how we respond, which
Yes,
is should be the golden motherfucking rule.
absolutely.
The
And I think
bronzed.
it's easier to say it than it is to practice
Yeah,
it. But
totally.
if you can keep this in your mind, and when you come to an obstacle, when you need to do the right thing, when you're trying to find balance in your life, if you can use stoicism as a guiding principle, uh, straight up, like not to be dramatic, it has totally changed my life. And
Yeah.
reading this book, The Daily Stoic, like it's a page a day. For me, it's helped just like first thing in the morning, it's a mind check. Like, okay, good morning, get your mind right. If your mind's not right, we can't do anything else. So Kaylee and I here at Figuring Out, we're always giving, tips and tricks. And this is just another, tip or trick I have in my hat of ways to like stay within myself. Um,
Yeah. I love it. I'm gonna
Try
have
it.
to get it. Daily
Yeah.
Stoic.
I'll link
Dot
it in the
com.
show notes.
Okay, amazing. Because I
Yes.
might pick me up one.
Pick me up
They
occasionally.
probably have like stuff on the phone too, like an app or something. I don't
I
know.
think they have an app. I'm pretty sure he has Ryan Holiday as the dailystoic.com, and I'm pretty sure he emails out like a daily newsletter. So depending on like your preferred platform, if it's not like book,
Yeah,
options for
just
everyone.
keeping like I like yeah, just keeping your mind right. Like I love that. I love that. I love it.
Sweet.
So, okay, I'm so glad we went over that because there was a lot of things too. I didn't know there was that much about it. Like I was just like, okay, basically you can't control, which I know is the basics. You cannot control what happens around you. You can't. You control what you respond to. You control how you treat people. Be fucking good in the world, basically, and keep your mind right. Do your
And
meditations, do your
remain
yoga, get in the
remain
gym.
remain unaffected. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's the key point too when you say, like, you can't control what's going on around you.
Yeah,
Not only
exactly.
can I not control it, I will not allow it to penetrate my bubble of peace and happiness. It is a non-negotiable. A stoic is someone that comes across as like calm and centered and just unfazed by your fucking bullshit. So
Yeah, think of it like protecting your soul from
always.
toxins. Like you have got to protect yourself first. Otherwise, you can't show up for anyone else. So,
Yes.
with that, that was so fun because I feel good. Like, I feel like we just had a fucking meditation for some reason.
Yeah, we love it. We're practicing stoicism today, baby.
Yeah, bitch. All right. Short and sweet and beautiful, just like my friend Grace.
I hope everyone has a delicious week and weekend, and we will see you next Wednesday.
Bye.
Bye.